Police in Newport Beach, California, are starting to put two and two together in the mysterious disappearance of Tom and Jackie Hawks. And now detectives believe a missing anchor and a missing couple add up to one horrific murder investigation.
It's gonna be a great day.
Our working theory was, hey, they had him sign the paperwork and they shot him, they threw him overboard.
Cops claim Skylar De Leon, who posed as a family man with a baby on the way, is actually a master manipulator. Detectives don't believe De Leon ever intended to buy Tom and Jackie's yacht the well-deserved. Instead, they say he hatched a twisted plan to steal it by murdering the Hawks in cold blood, then dumping their bodies into the Pacific Ocean.
Utterly diabolical. He used his kids to get two innocent people to trust him enough that he would go out to sea with them and they'd let their guard down, and that's what happened.
District Attorney Matt Murphy has De Leon arrested, not for murder, but for money laundering, so he can build a case. But it becomes crystal clear Skylar didn't pull off the elaborate scheme by himself. Authorities believe his pregnant wife Jennifer was his partner in crime who helped him set the trap.
The entire investigation at that point shifted to her.
Was she the puppet master over her husband, Skylar?
I mean, he's the diabolical schemer, you know, but she certainly facilitated and helped this.
Still, Murphy needs solid evidence to prove Jennifer was a willing accomplice. And he finally gets it.
We actually have video surveillance pictures of them walking up to the teller, and Jennifer's got a grin ear to ear.
The woman smiling in these bank surveillance images is none other than Jennifer De Leon, and she's standing right by her man as he tries to drain the Hawks' bank account just days after the couple went missing.
They came up and said, hey, we want to get money out for the Hawks, and here's the power of attorney. And the manager comes over and says, I know the Hawks, and I'm not giving you a dime until we verify this.
Physically, she wasn't on that boat. She was absolutely on that boat in every other way. She's cheerleading the whole time.
It was all the proof Murphy needed to charge Jennifer as an accomplice, but instead he makes De Leon's wife and mother-to-be an offer he thinks she can't refuse: immunity. All Jennifer has to do is rat out her husband.
And how many months pregnant was she at this time?
I think at the time she did that, she was probably about 7 months pregnant at that point, so she told us to pound sand.
And she said no.
Young love prevailed, and she said no.
Murphy then goes back to Kathleen Harris, the notary he suspects lied about witnessing the Hawks sign the power of attorney documents. But Harris doesn't flinch either.
Everybody stuck to the same story. So we had to see if there was somebody that would tell us the truth.
And there, in black and white, is the mistake that will sink the De Leon story. A name staring prosecutors right in the face. A signature on that power of attorney of a man who witnessed the deal going down, Alonzo McChain.
Alonzo was 19 years old at the time, living with his parents, and he's working at the Seal Beach City Jail.
McChain worked as a jail guard, and he'd befriended De Leon when he was serving time for burglary.
They developed this weird sort of friendship, and I mean, he wraps Alonzo around his finger and gets Alonzo to go with him for all these meetings with Tom and Jackie Hawks.
But when cops try to haul McChain in for questioning, he flees to Mexico. Again, Murphy offers up a deal. He can't give McChain complete immunity, but if he returns and tells his side of the story, he'll take the death penalty off the table.
He decided at that point to do the right thing.
Detectives turn on a tape recorder, and Alonzo McChain tells his story. A story too horrific to even imagine.
Skylar approaches me with this plan he has. He was going to do something that, was going to make some money, so he offers me to help him.
McChain tells detectives there was another man in De Leon's crew that day. Skylar introduced him to the Hawks as his accountant, but he was actually a notorious gangbanger and a convicted killer, ironically named John F. Kennedy.
He'd been to prison before. He was an original founding member of a gang called the Long Beach Insane Crips.
McChain says before he, Skylar, and Kennedy board the well-deserved, Skylar gives them strict orders.
The plan is that we were supposed to kidnap them and take them out to sea and toss them overboard.
And how was he planning to do that?
Tasers.
Tasers?
He thought of tasers.
McChain says once out to sea, they set their plan in motion. Kennedy pretends to be seasick and goes down below into the cabin.
Mr. Hawks becomes concerned because John F. Kennedy's not returning, so he goes down. Skylar follows Mr. Hawks down to the lower area, and that's it when he gets ambushed.
Up on deck, Jackie Hawks hears the commotion.
She's saying, "Oh, what's going on?" And that's when they were actually holding him down. Then that's when I realized that I had to, hold her.
Alonzo at that point produces a taser and tasers her.
I was able to cuff Mrs. Hawk at this time while I walked her down to the bedroom area where Skylar told me to go get some tape from the engine room. He got the tape and he told me to tape their eyes, tape their mouth.
This is the part where Alonzo starts to tell us about the story that it did knock me to my knees. Jackie Hawks is crying and screaming through her the piece of cloth over her mouth. And Alonzo says the only thing he can see is Mr. Hawks stroking her hand with his fingers, the handcuffed hands, trying to calm her down. And rightly so, because I know Tom Hawks knows what's going to happen.
What happened next? They
had them one by one go up to the kitchen area where she was first. They had her sign that power of attorney.
Skylar would tell them, I'm going to let you go if you cooperate. If you don't, we're going to kill you here.
McChain says Skylar then heads to the cockpit and punches coordinates into the GPS to steer straight toward the deepest parts of the ocean near Catalina Island, a place Tom and Jackie had spent so many wonderful times on board the Well-Deserved.
Tell me about those moments when she was trying to reconnect that bond with Skylar.
She sees Skylar come back up and she says, "Skylar, how could you do this? You brought your wife and baby on the boat. We trusted you."
Jackie and Tom, still cuffed and blindfolded, are led to the deck of the boat.
Got some rope, brought them to the back, tied them together.
Then a sound pierces through the ocean waves, a sound Tom and Jackie had heard hundreds of times.
At that point, Skylar disconnects one of the anchors from the bow of the boat, and he drags the chain. So they're inside a fiberglass boat, and he's dragging the chain to the back.
He knows that sound. You don't need vision to know that because they're blindfolded. That chain's coming down the side.
And she's begging for her life, and she's saying, "I have to see my grandchild one more time. I have to see my grandchild again. I'm too young to die." And Tom was stroking her hand, saying, "It's okay, we're going to be together." So at that point, they know what's going to happen. They're going overboard.
I didn't believe what I was looking at. Just pushed them.
Up next,
That was also the motive, right? Just
Right.
greed.
Oh, absolutely. Greed.
but this crime author says money wasn't the only motive.
Sure, they wanted to pay off their bills, but there was a bigger motive here for Skylar. Now he was going to get the money to get what he really wanted, and that was to become a woman and getting rid of his penis.
She's crying. How do you cry and hold your breath at the same time?